It seems that no matter what Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish do, they just can't get the respect they deserve. Now you got the mainstream media, the SEC platform of ESPN, talking about how the Irish should be behind Alabama. And once again, you had an individual by the name of Chris Mad Dog Russo who came to the Irish's rescue. But the charge against Notre Dame and where it belongs was led by the SEC banner holder, Paul Weinbaum. You heard me right, because he whines. And also co-signed by Stephen A. Smith.
Bruh.
I'm going to go through and correct both of them and thank Mad Dog Russo. Because out of the three, and even the moderator, I don't even know her name, but I am going to find out. She corrected both of them. And Weinbaum didn't even have the good sense to admit he was wrong. Instead, he doubled down on it. All this and much more on this Impact edition of Talk Like a Champion. Welcome back, Irish Nation. It's great being with you again on this edition of Talk Like a Champion. Of course, you are talking with the one and only Mr. CeeLo again. And I hope you guys have had a great week. I was having a stellar week until I looked at the TV and saw where you had Alabama lover Paul Weinbaum and Stephen A. Smith. They were asked a question on First Take. But, of course, Notre Dame had to come up because they were in front. And they both had interesting answers. But then came Mad Dog Russo, who, like the man, or the effing man he is, stood his ground and corrected the whiny one. And then, of course, Stephen A. Smith came behind and doubled down on what Weinbaum said, so it was 2-on-1. But I am going to make it 2-on-2, like the effing man I am. But before we do that, fellas, listen up. We all know that there are 3 women in your life you absolutely cannot afford to disappoint. Number 1, your mom. She brought you into this world, and she can still take you out. God bless mine. Number 2, your wife. She holds the keys to peace, happiness, and your Netflix password. Or in your case, your YouTube password so you can check us out. And number 3, your girlfriend, which we're not going to talk about too loud because your wife listened to this podcast too. Lucky for you, there's one gift that keeps them all. Lucky for you, there's one gift that'll keep all 3 of them happy without you having to remember their favorite candle, scent, or what size yoga pants they wear. It's the Lummi Vita 7-piece rejuvenation kit. The ultimate don't sleep on the couch skincare gift set. 7 premium pieces of luxury skincare for only $95. That's right, $95. Less than what you spent pretending or thinking that your team was going to cover that spread. This kit is packed with all types of fancy stuff, such as a biohack rejuvenation balm with words you can't pronounce, but she'll brag to her friends about it. An under-eye serum for those I was watching the game bags. A skin-tightening mask so magical it could patch the holes in that leaky defense. A tallow-based cleansing balm that melts makeup faster than your quarterback under pressure. A rose hydrosol toner that smells like peace and low stress. A jade gua sha roller, which is basically a tiny stone massage tool that women go feral for. And a gold accented travel bag so nice you'll wish you could use it. So fellas, do the smart thing for the holidays or special occasions. Order 3 of these bad boys, or in some cases, just 2. One for mom because she deserves it, one for your wife because she demands it, and for you guys that have a girlfriend, get one for her too because she thinks she deserves it. Go ahead, fellas, make that move. Grab that 7-piece rejuvenation kit at lumavita.com before the couch becomes your new home field. Yes, sir, gentlemen. Yes, sir. It's that time, and you got to make sure you stay in good with mom. You got to stay in good with the wife, and if you don't have a wife, your girlfriend. Some guys have wives and girlfriends, you know. I'm not one of those guys. But guys, I hope you are doing great. I think I've gave you the opening of this thing, but Mr. CeeLo is going to let you hear a little bit of what he had to hear. And it just came up on my news feed. And guys, let me tell you, if you're like me, you are tired of the SEC bias, but it was in full effect. I think the show was yesterday. But yeah, I got to throw it out there. But let us take a listen as you're going to hear the moderator from First Take, and then of course the second voice you're gonna hear is Paul Weinbaum. I can't respect somebody that doesn't know the game. I'm sorry, you guys. And then you're gonna hear Mad Dog Russo. If I don't intervene first, but guys, take a listen.
Indiana, Texas A&M remain the top 3 teams, and then Alabama dropped 6 spots to number 10 after its loss to Oklahoma. Notre Dame up to now number 9. Paul Feinbaum joins us now here on First Take. So Notre Dame and Alabama, Paul, both have 2 losses. Are you okay with the way the committee valued these 2 teams, putting Notre Dame a spot above, I think above, right, not below, Notre Dame?
Joe, you know the answer to that. It's absolutely not. And it's not because of Alabama. It's just because Notre Dame always seems to get a break. And I hate to be that guy that says, oh, there's this Notre Dame bias, but it's pretty obvious there is Notre Dame bias. And it's not only Alabama. Look at Miami and try to figure out where they are ranked. And I remember, Doggy, and I bet you do too, on the first Sunday night of the college football season, Notre Dame went down to Miami. And you know what happened? They lost. Shouldn't that matter for something? But apparently, in the eyes of this committee, nothing seems to matter other than their own biases.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, Paul, Notre Dame being ranked above Alabama. First off, they're both going to make it as long as Alabama beats Auburn. So the difference between 9 and 10, to me, is not that big a deal. And, Paul, before you go crazy on that Notre Dame-Miami game on Labor Day weekend, hold on now. Miami lost to SMU and lost to NC State. I mean, come on. I mean, you lose those 2 games after you beat Notre Dame by a field goal. You are not going to be ranked about Notre Dame, who lost 1 game by a point to Texas A&M, who's 3rd in the country. So I'm okay with Miami being lower than Notre Dame. I mean, Miami's not even going to make their conference championship game. So I'm okay with the way the ranking is.
Thank you, Mad Dog Russo, because obviously this is a dude whom has enough intelligence to disassociate himself from the biasism. I want to go back to the very first thing that Paul Weinbaum said in this one. He said it has Notre Dame bias written all over it. I have got to answer this question, ladies and gentlemen, and it goes a little something like this. Missouri, ranked. Florida, started the season ranked. Look where they at. We're not going to talk about Clemson, but I just want to talk about the SEC brand biased. Look at where Florida was ranked. all the way up there in the top 12, top 15 after what? 3 garbage losses? Tennessee is still currently ranked, you guys. They ain't beating nobody. I'm fixing to pull this up right now for all these beautiful prying eyes that are out there. Because here's the thing, folks. You can sit here and make a viable argument for anybody except the SEC. And the reality of it is, I get sick and tired of people like Paul Weinbaum coming up here saying, oh, it's always Notre Dame. Here's the truth. Let's look at what Tennessee has done. They lost to Georgia. Let's look at the schedule in totality. Syracuse, East Tennessee State, Georgia, UAB, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Alabama, Kentucky, Oklahoma, New Mexico State, Florida, and Vanderbilt. Now, as it stands, you got half that conference, and I'm just being, I'm just being a little bit jerk-offish. You got a better part of half this conference ranked in the top 25. But you want to sit here and say that's biased? You could argue the same thing that goes on in the ACC and the Big 12 happen in the SEC. The only difference is they don't have half their conference overinflated. And I know I might be a little loud, so you guys bear with me a little bit. But this is just absolutely preposterous for Paul Weinbaum to get up there and say what he said. I don't respect anybody that says that, because the reality of it is you can't even be genuine. You're being disingenuous with this argument. And then he doubles down on his disingenuous later on in this interview. The reality of it is you don't have to necessarily like what Notre Dame. You want to sit here and donkey clean this argument up beautifully, you guys, when he said, do you honestly think the committee's going to take this into consideration with your 2 losses? I mean, look, Miami played great against Notre Dame, but we could clearly tell that Notre Dame had a brand new quarterback. I'm not saying you don't take into account that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is Doggy absolutely destroyed Weinbaum. That's why all he could do was laugh. Let's keep it real, because if we really wanted to be technical, we should have Florida back in the top 25, given that they beat Texas, right? And then he says, I think we should focus on wins. Later on in his argument, he's going to say, I think we should focus on wins. Okay, you're going to focus on wins. Okay, well, why is Tennessee still ranked? You don't have a valid argument for almost a third of the SEC teams in here. Missouri don't have a convincing win. But then you want to argue that point. And Doggy brought it home beautifully. Look who you lost to. You lost to a Louisville team at home. And then you lost to SMU in overtime.
Bruh.
And like he said, Miami's not even playing in their conference championship game. Now, what it tells me is, just looking at the bracket as is, which I'm going to put this up there for y'all. I want y'all to look real carefully. It seems to me that Weinbaum is concerned that he going to have 2 teams going home. Because I can tell you right now, actually it's going to be 3 teams going home. I can tell you this right now. Ain't no way in the world. Let me tell you what he's so scared of, y'all. Look at this. Okay, see, if Notre Dame is number 10, y'all, which I don't care nonetheless. I could care less. Because if they put us on the side with Oregon, I don't have a problem playing Oregon. I know we could beat Oregon. You heard me right. I said it. But then if you put us on this side, guess what? You take us off the Ohio State side. But that's not ultimately what he's worried about, y'all. What he's worried about is if you put Alabama on this side, guess what? That leaves you with Ole Miss, who ain't fixing to beat Miami with this the way it is. They're not going to beat Miami. I think that's one thing Weinbaum's worried about. So that eliminates them. And then if Oregon, which I think they could beat Alabama, knocks them out, that's 2 gone. So that leaves you, because Oklahoma ain't beating us, y'all. That's going to leave them once again with, they go from 5 to 2. I can tell you this right now. Miami's going to knock out Ole Miss. So that is a given. That is the one thing Weinbaum needs to be worried about. But he's sitting here worried about where Alabama's ranked. What it boils down to is he needs that 3rd team to go, because he knows if Oklahoma is in that spot, or basically if Notre Dame's in that spot, that's going to be Notre Dame versus Ohio State. That's what he's concerned with. Because, look, the SEC has not performed well since this has taken shape. They have not. And all this called talk about, oh, it's a brutal schedule. Well, guess what? When it's a brutal schedule, you should be well tested, right?
You don't have to answer that question. You can't handle the truth.
What's the problem? My whole thing is go ahead. I'm just here because I heard the B word. You said that there's bias, Notre Dame bias. What about the SEC bias? Ole Miss ain't the sixth best team in the country. Want me to prove it? Here you go. Where you at, Ole Miss? Where's that schedule? You gonna sit here and talk about, you really gonna sit here and talk about there's a bias, and then he doubles down on his garbage when he's going to say what he says. I ain't going to jump ahead too far. You got Georgia State, Kentucky, Arkansas, whom you struggled with, Tulane, who's turned into be a pretty good football team, LSU, who's turned out to be nothing, Washington State, you struggled with. They haven't been very good. Then Georgia, and then Oklahoma, and then South Carolina. Then you got the Citadel. Then you got Florida. And then you finish up next Friday night at Mississippi State. And you got the nerve to sit here and tell us there's favoritism. Ain't no way Ole Miss is the sixth best team in the country. But you know what you'll say? They won the games on their schedule. And they got a win against Oklahoma. And they got a win against an overrated LSU. Okay. Where's your other win? Where's it at? Where's it at? But you got the nerve to talk about Notre Dame. If anything, Notre Dame should be ranked over them. Because their losses were dang sure not impressive. Oh, they only got one. And guess what? They lost by more points than Notre Dame lost in both their combined losses. Same thing with Alabama, sir. And they got crushed by Florida State. We lost by a field goal. So if you really want to throw Miami in this, let's go there. Let's go there. I'm ready. Because here's where the rubber really meets the road. Because you talk about Miami and then want to say, oh, you have sympathy for Miami. You didn't have sympathy for Florida State. But let's look at it. They lost by Louisville at home by 3, and then you lose in overtime on a touchdown. You didn't even score in that OT. I get it. You lost that game on the road. Louisville's not even ranked, my friend. Neither is SMU. So you technically lost to 2 unranked teams. But let's listen to Stephen A. I done destroyed this along with Doggy. Let's go on.
Well, first of all, the difference that it makes is depending on the opponent that you're playing. So let's remember that as well. If you're the 10th seed, who you're going up against might be different than it is going to be different than who you're going up against as the 9th ranked team, and it might be a bit stiffer. And so you have to take that.
Wait a minute. He just said your opponent might be a little bit stiffer if you play somebody in the 10th seed. Last I checked, this the SEC. We get challenged every week. All the teams in this are stiff. What are you talking about? Sounds to me, Irish Nation, y'all help me out. Sounds like somebody might be scared that they might be going home. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. And guys, if y'all don't understand clearly what's going on here, they scared of us. And anybody that's out there that's not a Notre Dame fan, please chime in. I want you to, just like on the last show we had. But here's the reality. I am going to go through and show you guys that the only teams that had a gauntlet in this conference, that was a real gauntlet, ain't the power teams here. Teams like Kentucky had a tough one. Teams like Arkansas, whom you'll hear Weinbaum say Arkansas is not very good, but then Stephen A. sitting here talking about the opponent. This is for the national championship. All comers. Nobody said anything when Saban when he kept getting the number 1 seed and he got to choose where he wanted to play. We all know Saban didn't want to play west of the Mississippi or north of the Mason-Dixon line. That way he could keep his fan base close and have more people there for him. Meanwhile, you got teams like Oregon that's got to travel way from the Y Blue Yonder just to get here. Nobody said anything about that. I just find it hilarious that they're actually complaining about seedings. I think there's two reasons for that. And like I said, put us at number 10. I would welcome that. I really would, you guys. Put us at number 10 because I can tell you right now, it'll be just like last year. I want you guys to take another look at the seeding. Look at it. If we're on the other side, yes, we get Oregon right now. Like I said, I'm not afraid of Oregon. Oregon has shown that they can be had on the ground. Like I said, Dante Moore has not shown that he can beat you throwing down the field. However, Oregon does have a very good running game, but that's not the critique right now. Alabama knows if they face off against Oregon, they're going to get had. Because they cannot run the football, which is obviously one of the weaknesses that the Ducks have. They're not a team that you're going to get a whole bunch of yardage throwing the football on. It's just the reality. And then Alabama would have to face off against Indiana. Now, I know a lot of folks would say, well, why would he want to get on that? Well, because it's obviously a matter of numbers. Because, see, if Alabama and Oklahoma play each other, that means only one of them is going to get eliminated. Look, this is the way this could look. You got to set up right now, Ole Miss could be gone. Alabama could be gone, and Oklahoma could be gone. 3 of your 5 entries could be gone Saturday night. And all you got is A&M and Georgia. That's what it boils down to. Heck, I wouldn't even care if we got number 11. Heck, put Miami up there. Please, put them up there. We'll take Ole Miss and blow the doors off them in Oxford. Send them home just like we did Fayetteville. Send them home at halftime because they can't stop the run either. They sure can't stop the run. All they got is offense, 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 offense. Let's go. We'll do another shootout. Because they dang sure ain't got nothing outside of their front four. Front four, that's it. Block them. Ooh. Guys, I'm telling you. Go ahead. Give us that number 11 slot with Ole Miss sitting at number 6. Please, I'm begging you. They just don't know what they're doing. They sitting here talking themselves into we'll walk in because guess what we got next round? The rematch with A&M. And then who we got? The winner between Alabama and Oregon. But guess what? That would probably go up to Miami. We'd have the winner between Miami and Oregon. And then the winner between that against Indiana. I smell the same path that I saw last year, don't y'all? Except the difference is we ain't got to face Georgia or Ohio State until the Natty.
Consideration, doggy. We can't ignore that. And I'm going to roll with Paul on this. And listen, I'm not happy that Alabama lost to Oklahoma. I expected them to win that game. They let me down. I'm so surprised. But the point is this. When you look at Notre Dame, okay, you start out the season 0-2. You lose to Miami, albeit by a field goal. You lose to Texas A&M. Now, here's what I would say to you. If we want to take into account the level of competition, Texas A&M comes back. Incredible comeback victory over South Carolina, no doubt. But damn, who the hell was that team in the first half? That was down 30-3 to begin with to South Carolina. So we could see how up and down, how a bit haphazard Texas A&M can be from time to time, which gives the impression that on any given Saturday, they can be had. You got to pay attention to that kind of stuff too. And when Alabama...
Anybody can be had on any given Saturday. Irish Nation, that is the most asinine, ignorant statement I've ever heard. You want to know why? Because everybody knows that. He's sitting here saying that a team should be punished or they should be discredited because they can be had? All because South Carolina pissed the bed for 3 weeks and decided, we're going to come out here and we're going to get A&M their first loss. They took South Carolina's best shot, and guess what? They had nothing left in the tank. You see, when you throw favoritism and you have biases, you will find anything to contort your argument. And this is what Smith is doing right now. And it's pathetic because the reality of it is you sat there and said, well, I didn't expect Alabama to lose, blah, 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 blah. So let me ask you this. Why is it Tech can lose 7 spots when they lose, or any other team that loses that's not in the Southeastern Conference loses, you can justify moving them more than 6 spots? Here's the reality. Doggy said it best. Just beat Auburn. And then you have the nerve to sit there and say, look at the strength of Notre Dame's schedule. They didn't just lose to Miami. They lost by 3 points, and they were on the road.
Damn, I'm good.
Alabama lost by 2 points in their building to a team that barely cracked 200 yards of offense.
God damn.
By a team that barely cracked 200 yards. And don't even come at me with the defense of Alabama.
Is that your best? That was pathetic.
Oklahoma, when they played Michigan, they wasn't that good. You think I forgot that daggum boring game that they had over there in Norman? I ain't forgot that snooze fest. I was sitting there eating pasta, or trying to eat pasta. I sat there and watched that exhibition. I was like, are they trying? Underwood was everything but trash. He was straight garbage. Let's look at Oklahoma. Did you give them a win over 22 ranked Auburn? Now look this, y'all. Auburn's won 4 games this year. 3 of them out of conference. Boo hoo. And they were ranked 22nd, y'all. They were ranked 22nd. Then they got their butts whooped by an unranked Texas team at the time, who just got walloped by Georgia. Now, I said that to say this. There ain't nothing going on in the SEC that ain't going on in the ACC, the Big 10, or the Big 12. You can sit here and talk all that nonsense you want to, Wine Bum, Stephen A. But the reality of it is, what you're discussing happens in every conference. And teams like Georgia Tech, Virginia are getting disrespected for it. And it's not right. So you really want to sit here and you want to go there with this situation? No, you can't, because the bias is real. And y'all keep sitting here talking like, oh, well, this ain't right. This ain't this and this ain't that. But we should take into account head-to-heads. Not when you lose 2 games to 2 unranked teams at the time. And if we really want to get technical, and we can do that, we can get technical. Let's look at it. Let's look at Louisville and let's look at SMU. Louisville lost to Virginia. Then they lost to California by 3. And then they lost to Clemson. Now, granted, Miami lost to SMU, who is also 7-3. But they have a better shot than Miami to go in the ACC title game. Not Miami. So while we sit here and we make these comparisons, you can sit there and pretend like you don't see what's real. Apparently, neither one of y'all are watching the games. Doggy is showing me a guy that watches the games. Miami's not looking like the same team that we saw that beat Notre Dame week 1. Like he said, Labor Day. You can sit here and talk about they ran off 10 wins and the level of competition. Here's the reality. USC's got a shot to knock off Oregon this week. What you gonna say then? Because you dogged on USC like they ain't hitting on nothing. They ain't no pushover. If you ain't heard, they blasted Michigan when they came into the Coliseum.
What a dumbass.
Do your homework before you say something asinine.
Alabama loses the opener to Florida State, and then they're running, they go on the road. You win it, you beat Georgia, you beat Tennessee, you beat Missouri, you beat these teams, okay?
He just said Tennessee and Missouri, y'all. Tennessee and Missouri? Didn't I just run down what Tennessee's done? Who have they beaten? Y'all, I'm telling you, I'm going to have a field day tonight. He talked about Tennessee. He talked about Tennessee. Georgia, I'll give you some props on that. He said Tennessee, y'all. Let's see, they beat Syracuse, East Tennessee, UAB, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Kentucky, New Mexico State. Well, they got Florida and Vanderbilt left. Where's the quality win, Irish Nation?
You some bitches couldn't close an umbrella.
I mean, it just gets more hilarious in his argument. You said Tennessee? Tennessee? Then he brought up Missouri, which, all I'm going to say, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It just gets more hilarious. Central Arkansas, Kansas, Louisiana, South Carolina, UMass, Auburn, Mississippi State. All I see is a bunch of trunked up wins. And you struggled. Look at this. Look. You struggled to beat South Carolina. You struggled to beat Auburn. I'm just saying, y'all. Look, I'm just saying, because when you make that kind of an argument, and then you want to compare Notre Dame's schedule. And here's the thing. This is the thing that really gets under my skin when I ask people to throw this out there. Y'all put all of these terrible teams that aren't even in FBS on the schedule. And then you have the nerve when people talk about Navy or the armed forces. Oh, they just, man, this and that, man. Y'all play real schedule. I don't see, look, I guarantee you the Naval Academy will take $1.5 million from y'all and run the option on y'all. You don't want no part of it. Because the only thing I hear y'all cry about is, our schedule's already tough. Boo freaking who.
Stop the cap.
I see an 8-2 Navy midshipman team that lost to North Texas and lost to Notre Dame. I just want to know when one of y'all are going to put them on the schedule. I'm sure they'd love to take $1-2 million and replace VMI. Why don't y'all do that? Why don't y'all do that?
And then all of a sudden you lose a nail biter to Oklahoma, and that puts you behind Notre Dame, whose biggest victories were against USC and Pittsburgh. I can get where Paul is coming from when you're talking about.
Your biggest victories are USC and Pittsburgh. You take Georgia off of that. You talking about Tennessee and Missouri? Did he just... I can tell you right now. USC will mop the floor with Tennessee and Missouri. Believe that. I would love if USC does not make the college football playoff. But I'll tell you what, please set me up a matchup with one of them two. You can all be surprised, Josh Pate included, that, because here's the reality. You putting this Georgia victory like, oh yeah, well, it's the same as Miami. Same as Miami. You lost to an unranked Florida State team. You made their season. You got them ranked. You got them ranked. And I find it so hilarious that y'all complaining about Notre Dame being ranked above them. I tell you right now, I would love to meet them in the college football playoff. It would not be pretty for them. Yeah, I said it. If that defense can slow them down and that offense can score enough points, they run a game ain't hitting on tutti frutti compared to the Notre Dame Fighting Irishes. You don't want this headache. You don't. I tell you this right now. this headache.
Why is Notre Dame placed ahead of Alabama? That makes sense to me. That's a legitimate question.
Come on, guys. Bias, Paul Feinbaum, there are 6 teams in the CFP rankings from the SEC right now. What are we talking about? There's one ranking difference between Notre Dame and Alabama, and I would argue the 8-9 game, if the season or the playoffs started today, is much more difficult than I think it's 10-7. Yes.
You gonna sit here on national television and act like there's never any bias for Notre Dame? You gonna say that with a straight face?
I am not saying that, but I think there's also a little bias towards the SEC as well, is all I'm saying. Let's.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Shay. I have nothing but respect for you because you checked him on his own BS. You gonna say there ain't no bias towards Notre Dame? You being biased towards Alabama. And if you were actually intelligent, you would actually think maybe, just maybe, I would want them on this side. But I know what it means. I ultimately understand why you don't want Notre Dame facing off against Oklahoma. Because like I said, you know Oklahoma's going to get roasted. You know Alabama can't beat Oregon. And you know damn well Miami's going to flavor Ole Miss. So that leaves you with 2 teams left after day 1 that's got to carry your banner. Meanwhile, the Big Ten is walking around here with their chest poked out and 3 teams, all 3 of their participants in there. How many shots do you need? You got the matchups you want. You got 3 brackets right there. That's what I see the committee doing. I see the committee saying, hey, bro, you the SEC. We don't want to see in-conference matchups. Since your schedule's so tough, let's get you away from your conference. Let's do you one better. Let's see if we can't get all 5 of these teams in there. Because you know you're going to get exposed. You know you're going to get exposed. And this bias of the SEC, it ain't no little bit. It's a lot. We know damn well Oklahoma ain't one of the top 12. It ain't even the top 8. They just like every one of the top, like Ole Miss, overinflated wins. Oklahoma, and no, Brad, no disrespect, Georgia had overinflated wins. Ole Miss wasn't one of the best teams in the country by far. They still ain't. So don't give me this mess about who is getting dead wrong.
Call it as it is.
Okay.
Right?
I just wanted to make sure you wasn't saying there was a bias against Notre Dame.
I do think,
because we've been witnessing that for years.
He said we've been witnessing a bias for Notre Dame for years. Well, we also been witnessing a bias for the SEC. Starting way back in 2002 when they had Auburn and I want to say Georgia, I think it was. It was either Auburn or Georgia when they had 2 losses and then go to the BCS. Oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember because there was a big old fuss about it. People are tired of the whining. Wine bum, we're tired of hearing you whine. Hey, Stephen A., we tired of hearing you whine. No, Notre Dame doesn't have a bias because y'all don't have to talk about them. Go watch them. We got the best player and the most exciting player in the country. Then there's Haynes King, whom y'all disrespect as well. There's a difference between people appreciating Notre Dame and giving us a bias. There's a big difference. Learn the difference. No bias here. I'm not going to say there's a little bit. But you want to sit here and you want to backpedal on the biasisms of the SEC. They've always been given the benefit of the doubt. Good football is not just played in the Southeastern Conference. You should have figured that out, Stephen A., when you watched your boy Dion get hammered. And now you're talking about he need more time.
It's official. You suck.
Just ask Dion. Good football ain't just played in the SEC.
Dumb shit! Dumb shit! Dumb shit!
there is also with the Southeastern Conference. Let's be clear. Can you agree to that, Paul Feinbaum?
Well, I'm not sure about that, considering last year the SEC only had 3 schools. And the argument, Shay, not to sound like I'm waving the SEC flag, is that the SEC week to week is more difficult. And if you look at what Alabama has done, I mean, they played 4 straight.
You just said there's no bias because they got 3 teams last year. So, how many did you expect them to get? I mean, let's keep it in perspective. Tennessee got their butts whooped. Georgia had a bye. Smacked by me. Yours truly. Y'all's truly. You are so much. Yes, you talking about you ain't trying to carry the banner? Oh, yes, you are. You worse than a lawyer sitting in there fighting for his client. The fact remains, you got 2 teams. You got a conference that you're trying to totally exclude. A conference champion, I might have you. You put Tennessee in there, they got their butts just absolutely drilled.
Game over. Ultra combo.
And you could argue,
Supreme victory.
you could argue Texas would have been gone against Arizona State had it not been a miracle on 4th down. But you're supposed to be miles ahead of everybody. Miles ahead of everybody. You didn't get, you had to get an import. Let's make this clear. You got A&M in there right now and Oklahoma in there right now. 2 imports from another conference. And the comment that you about to make is just so dumb. It just absolutely makes no sense. Then you want to talk about, you want to go to Alabama's little run that they made? Yeah, let's look that up real quick. Let's just do that. Let's do that, y'all. To sit there and make the kind of statement that you made about Alabama's run and then sit there and say, there's no SEC bias. Look at Ole Miss. I just ran down that whack schedule that they got. And you want to sit here and say there's no bias?
What a dumbass.
I don't need to say anymore. But here's the real question. Okay, you had number 5, Georgia. Vanderbilt, we've already talked about. Missouri, we already talked about. Tennessee, we already talked about. Who have they beaten? You went into Faroe Field and struggled with Missouri. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's real as it feels. It's real as it feels. Because Missouri don't have a single solitary win that I can look at and say, that team belongs. You actually brought up Tennessee and Missouri? I mean, I'm looking. I'm trying to look. You talking about a run? I don't see no run. I don't. Continue.
Highly regarded and ranked teams where Notre Dame's cherry picking. Yeah, I mean, I give Notre Dame credit for going to Miami and playing Texas A&M. They also went to Arkansas, which is at the bottom of the SEC. But they're really claim to fame right.
Woo, he said it, y'all. He said it. You heard him. They're at the bottom of the SEC. Okay, he said it. He said it, y'all. He said it. Now, let us do a little bit of research. I told y'all I was going to bring the heat today, y'all. He said, and I quote, Arkansas, who is at the bottom of the SEC. Now, and Shay smiles. She gives a sly smile. Once again, he's going to throw something in there that is going to be pretty funny. But I got to get these points together, guys, because every time he says something asinine, I got to kill it. I'm one of those, I will destroy your argument. Let's see, Arkansas. Alabama A&M 52-7. Arkansas State 56-14. Ole Miss, the 6th ranked team in the country, 41-35. And you guys know what this game was? Oxford. Arkansas was the visitor, and that game was a nail biter. And then the very next week, they go to Memphis and they blow, I think it's a 20-something lead, and lose 32-31. Then, with game day in the house, Notre Dame just absolutely mops the floor with Arkansas. Had them walking out the stadium at halftime. Then Arkansas plays Tennessee after their coach gets gone, and that was a 3-point game. Now keep in mind, you guys, a lot of people are going to say that, oh, maybe it's because the coaching changed. No, mind you, they lost 2 close games before the coaching change. Notre Dame was the tipping point. Let's go to Texas A&M. They only won by 3 points, and that was also in their building. So once again, hats off to A&M doing what they do. But Arkansas gave them a fight as well. Then you go and you look at Mississippi State. They lost that game by 3 points. Then they play LSU, lost that game by a point in Death Valley. The bottom of the SEC, but this team has been in every game except one. And we've had this discussion, Irish Nation. We have had this discussion. Unfortunately, when you get somebody like Weinbaum who doesn't pay attention, he says they're at the bottom of the barrel. Well, guess what? Your bottom of the barrel has gave them a fight that they couldn't put up against us. And the scary part about this Weinbaum is our best guard has not been on the field yet. He ain't been on the field. And you sitting here talking about Notre Dame cherry picks? No, sir. No, we don't cherry pick. We take what we can. Because many of y'all in that conference are scared to death. Much like Lincoln Riley is. So before you open your mouth and say, Notre Dame is cherry picking. No, we don't run from nobody. I give Texas credit. They don't run from anybody. Why don't you question Saban for all those years when he wouldn't play in somebody else's building? Oh, it's been well documented. My thing is you can't be a national champion if you can only win in your building. We got the time. Why don't you petition the SEC to come to South Bend? You scared now. Because since NIL has come about, for everybody, not just the conference, that y'all claim is the number one conference, why is y'all's depth so bad now? You got teams like Ohio State, Notre Dame, that's got better depth than y'all now. I wonder why it took the NIL to come into fruition before that happened. It ain't got nothing to do with tradition, I can tell you that right now.
Or those wins over Miami and Southern Cal, they don't have the grind that the SEC has. And I think that's where some of this SEC bias perception comes in. But come on down to the South and try to deal with the schedules and see what your record is. And I guarantee you it will be inferior to the SEC records.
He just said, I guarantee you the SEC records would be. You said the same thing about Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Missouri. I'm glad you brought that up, Paul. How many times has Missouri been in y'all's SEC title game since they joined? A couple. Do y'all remember Johnny Football? Do you remember that guy? Remember when he walked in to Tuscaloosa and
Cut it out.
Look at Texas and Oklahoma. I'm going to tell you something right now, Paul. You do not want Notre Dame in the SEC. You do not. Because all that BS you talking right now, we don't want nothing to do with you. This is the very reason we don't want nothing to do with none of y'all. We don't deal with haters. We don't deal with two-faced people. What we want to deal with you for? You're not spitting facts. We knock off one of your SEC. You're just a bottom feeder. Nobody else knocked that bottom feeder out like we did. Y'all need some lessons on how to do it. Maybe y'all need to stay a while. See how it's done.
Yoo-hoo.
I'll make you famous.
Guys, I'm going to tell you, what's really funny is when I hear people like Paul Weinbaum come up here and they're crying and complaining about the number of teams that they get, where they're ranked. The point is Alabama is not a good matchup for Oregon. That's what it boils down to. Maybe Saban's Alabama would be because he could run the football. Alabama ain't that type of team anymore. They're not. They throw the ball. No matter how hard they try, they cannot run the football. And I get it. Oklahoma's got a great pass rush. They blitz crazy. And that is what they're known for. Brent Venables blitzes. But the question is, why is Paul so adamant about this? And I can tell you why. Like I said, he's got 5 teams in this thing. He don't want it to go down to 2 after week number 1. Because he already knows what the deal is going to be. I'm not saying that Notre Dame can beat Ohio State. But I'll tell you this. Go ahead. Move us to number 10. Please do us that favor. It won't hurt my feelings a bit. Because I actually would prefer to be on that side of the bracket, y'all. I really would.
I do agree with that. The grind takes a lot out of it. Big Ten's awful with their teams, and the SEC is good. I got one question to throw out to both of them. It's important. Michigan's 18. If Michigan beats Ohio State.
Okay. That doesn't matter. What I have an issue with is this saying the SEC grind. What freaking grind? I just told you guys, and guys, I'm going to post this in the link. Guys, go back and really look at the schedules. You had Ole Miss get majority of their clout because they beat an overrated Florida team. Hold on, let me pull this up for y'all. Well, one day you guys are going to make me where I'm able to do this without actually having to, have slow internet. I mean, it's not slow, but it's not, my computer is very old and whatnot. So you sit here talking about a grind. Georgia State, Kentucky, Arkansas, who he said was a bottom feeder. Tulane, that a pretty good football team. They're in the college football playoff. Overrated 4th ranked LSU. That ain't a grind. Washington State, they struggled to beat. Georgia, there you go. Overrated Oklahoma. South Carolina, Citadel, Florida. That ain't no grind. That ain't no freaking grind. You sitting there talking about the SEC grind. Show me a team that had a grind. I don't see one. You sit here and you give these teams credit for close wins. That's called a grind. No. That's called, it happens every freaking Saturday. Just what Stephen A. said. He gonna sit here and say Texas A&M can be had. Guess what? Alabama got had twice. Guess what? Ole Miss got had once. Guess what? Texas got had 3 times. Guess what? LSU done got had. 1, 2, 3. How many times did the LSU got had? I'll get back to you on that one. Even Georgia's schedule. Marshall, Austin Peay, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, Florida, Mississippi State, Texas. I said, you call give me Ole Miss. Tennessee, give them to me. Alabama, I'll give you that one. Texas, I'll give you that one. So don't sit here and give me, and they got Georgia Tech left on the schedule. What you gonna say then? And Brad, this ain't no disrespect to you. I am just sick of the SEC bias. And even Brad is sick of the SEC bias. Because here's the reality. I can deal with most Georgia fans that are realistic. But to sit here and carry the SEC banner, why? Because you can't win the conference? That was a lot of Georgia fans here in the South's biggest problem. They would sit there and say, well, you can't win on that championship because you're in the SEC. And our argument would always be, well, Alabama gets it done every year. And in reality, realistically, It's just distasteful to be whining about where you are. Look, my only complaint is I'm looking at Ole Miss. Overinflated opponents. The entire SEC has been overinflated all season. And another team, I'll just throw it out there. Ohio State's overinflated. They have had a soft schedule. They're saying the Big Ten is terrible. I'm not going to say the Big Ten is terrible. You just have what the SEC had for many years. Top heavy. Now all of a sudden the SEC's got a bunch of teams that you could argue are pretty good. They don't have an elite team in there except maybe A&M. And even Stephen A was sitting here trying to degrade them. I got nothing but respect for A&M because they beat us in South Bend. Talking about they can be had on any given... Stephen A, any team can be had on any given Saturday. Alabama found that out. But guys, let me know what you think. I just had to let that loose. If you got comments, please hit me down in there. If you are a SEC fanboy, please explain. Because I can tell you right now, I'm not going to sit here and say our schedule is tough, but it ain't weak either. Because here's the reality. When you throw a triple option team on there, I don't care how talented they are. That triple option ain't easy to stop, especially when they got two of the major pieces they need. Nobody wants to play the triple option. But let me know, guys, down in the below. Thank you so much for all my comments that you guys have been continuing to bring to the table. That show about the Irish's bias, the one that you guys all seem to really gravitated towards, it's over 2,200 views now, guys, and I'm just so thankful for all of you. Make sure you keep coming back because I actually did a follow-up to all your comments. I want you guys to be able to see that Mr. CeeLo got to all your comments. I really pride myself on being able to get you guys as much cred as I possibly can, and I think I had another comment. Oh, it's over 2,300 now, guys. I'm sorry. My mistake. And I love the fact that so many of you are engaged. It is so much fun to see all of that come into fruition and to see so much of you guys really having opinions on this. And realistically, we should have this type of engagement. We really should. I think ultimately that's where we get things at an even keel instead of having people just talk this noise. Hazley said, it's economics 101. Every penny the Irish made during the playoff run, they kept. Ohio State had to share with everyone. Notre Dame made $20 million plus kept $20 million. Plus their $20 million NBC deal. Ohio State made $20 million but had to share it with everyone else in the conference. They only made $2.6 million out of the $20 million that they earned. And see, that's part of what I've been saying the entire time. There are so many people that don't understand economics. Hayes, they don't. And I'm going to be straight, honest, and to the point. I think ultimately, as long as they hate Notre Dame, the more it's going to keep the AD and the powers that be there. I know I've already said my goodbyes and everything, but I totally forgot to hit my comments. And Brad, I'm going to get my comments on another show. But yeah, this has definitely been a moment where it just really irritated me to really have to deal with individuals like Weinbaum and Smith who think they know better than everybody else. And if anything, what should have happened in this situation was they should have looked at it and said, you got your butts hammered last year. And you got 3 imports representing your conference. 3. A&M, Texas, Oklahoma. And then for him to make that comment. But anyway, let me shut up. Y'all guys, make sure you comment down below if you are a first-time subscriber. Make sure you put your name down in the comments and make sure you hit that bell notification so that you can get all my shows when they first drop, as well as hit that like and subscribe button. Next, go over to Facebook and make sure you go to Talk Like a Champion, the Facebook page, and join the group. Finally, if you want to keep up with all the other shenanigans that I'll be caught up in, make sure you go to my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo so you can keep up with my shenanigans in season and off. But until we meet again, May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun rise warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.